Hello y'all, I'm back on this exercise bike and this video is going to be more on the narcissist and funerals. I have a playlist, check it out. And the purpose of these videos is to explain to you my real life experience, how I made it through it, and how you can be more prepared for your narcissists and funerals, because there will be funerals that you are going to feel mandated for the Lord to attend that funeral. And you do not, in most circumstances, want to miss the funeral of a loved one because of narcissists or narcissistic people that are going to be attending those funerals, preparing those funerals that do not love you. Okay, so here we go. Speaking at that funeral and the way to do it and how to protect yourself is something that's very hard for a lot of people not to do because they don't have the information. They don't know how to naturally do it. So I'm going to explain to you what that is. Listen in very carefully. I'm explaining it right now. So what needs to happen is eye contact and not having eye contact. So this is just my opinion. And this is based on attending many different funerals and events, not just funerals, but also other events. Okay, you have the seating arrangement. You have the front rows, the middle, and the back. Now, a lot of times people will end up where they're sitting at because of the time that they get there. So this could be a person that prefers to sit in the front or middle, but they end up in the back because they're late. At this particular funeral, I was allocated a first row seat because I'm an immediate relative. So I would not have let nobody sit me in no middle or back. Somebody would have had to give their seat up for me to get in that first row because I am one of the closest living relatives to the person that's deceased. So during this process, while I'm in the front row, there's a lot of narcissistic things going on. Wrong hands being held. I mean, sometimes they're holding the hand of their new supply as if they're the mom or dad or sibling of the deceased. I mean, there's a lot of what would I say, provoking behaviors. You got to remember, narcissists are provoking. And we as human beings, we're jealous by nature. So for example, if you are the mother or father, I'm just going to throw this out as an example, and your daughter or son is up there in that casket, and someone a few seats down from you is holding the hand of their new supply or their mom, they're holding everyone else's hand but yours, and that's fine. I mean, in reality, it may be in your best interest. Who wants to hold the narcissist's hand anyway? However, you got to remember the way the narcissist looks at things. Everything is to provoke you, right? Everything is to emotionally harm you. And I want you to start looking at this. And this is one thing I've learned about narcissists. They are intelligent. Okay? And so a lot of times, because of their irrational behaviors, their bad tempers, a lot of y'all and me maybe at one point might have thought these people was just silly people, or what some would say stupid people or whatever. However, what I've learned over time is that they're much more intelligent than you think, because a lot of their stuff that they do comes from their subconscious, so it's automatic because it's a routine that they've been doing a lot of times since childhood. So there's tactics that you can use yourself to help you deal with these people, and the way you deal with it is through anger management. So when I saw these things going on, I fixed some of it. In the role that I was sitting in, I definitely had hand holders. So the two people that I was sitting in between held my hand, consoled me. I was pretty much right by my relative's casket. And I was consoled. I don't need the consoling of the narcissist. I just would like you to learn, because I believe that somebody's gonna watch these videos and they ain't went to that funeral yet, and they're gonna remember what I said to them. So what I did with speaking, this is a tactic that I used. And I also use this tactic because of empathy. So remember, having empathy protects you too, because being nice or doing the righteous thing will bring a better energy to you and a better result. So, okay, by right, I could have been the first one to get up there and speak because, like I said, I'm the immediate relative. So, what I did when it was time for people to speak and the pastor, called people up to say a word about the beloved that's in the casket, this beautiful relative of mine, I let everybody else go. And I really enjoyed hearing all the nice things that were said about my relative. And so what I did, I went last. And one of the reasons I went last is this. I ain't there to fight nobody, right? I'm not there to get no charge. I'm not there to get no case. So I know what my triggers are too. And one of my triggers would have been for the narcissist or anybody to say, your time is up. This is a 3 minute, you only can speak 3 minutes. So I have a little anxiety. So I like to do things in relaxed settings. So if I'm the last to speak, I don't feel rushed. When you're the first, you're speaking and you're looking at this line. Okay, so what I do is I take care of myself first, as far as knowing my triggers, knowing myself. And also, I'm not the type of person, I'm not a narcissist. I ain't gotta be first. I'm not in no competition with nobody. Narcissists be running up to the front like, see me, y'all gotta see me, like little spoiled kids. I don't have that personality. So I really enjoyed hearing what the other people said. And so I'm the type, I like to add something maybe a little different or tell a story about the beloved relative that maybe other people don't know about or the other people didn't speak about. So letting other people speak first can remind you of something good to say about this relative. So what I did when I went up there and spoke, I couldn't tell you if the narcissist and his new supply was crying, if they were still holding hands, if they had a mean look on their face, if they looked crazy, if they rolled their eyes at me. I can't tell you none of that. And they were sitting right in the front row. I was up on the podium speaking. And the reason I can is because I looked over their head. I never looked down at them. And when I was a little girl, for 8 years of my life, prior to going to high school, I was in acting and dance. Okay, which would be drama and dance is what it would be called. But I learned, and they teach you how to, when you're performing, to be careful looking at the audience, because that can make you stumble. That can make you have an accident, especially if you're in a dancing routine or you're acting. It'll make you stumble on your words. Like sometimes even doing these videos, I may stutter more because I hear a noise or I look at my screen here or whatever. So what I did was I never looked at the narcissist. There's narcissists always going to be in the front row, y'all. I mean, if you're not at a charity event and there's a lot of these empaths coming out to fight for a cause, then there's going to be narcissists in that front row. There's going to be narcissistic people in that front row. There's going to be people in that front row that's in the front row that don't even deserve to be in the front row because in their soul they really hated the relative or friend or whatever. But usually it's normally relatives, in-laws, very close family members, maybe the relatives, the fathers of her or his children, people like that. But that's one of the things I used and I did. I used as a tactic, and I did it just naturally, because that's one of the things I do when I'm around provokers. I don't speak or look at them, right? Because you already know that they're putting on a show. You've actually already seen the narcissist do this before. This particular narcissist, he did this in high school, right? So when I first met this narcissist in high school and he met the new supply, he was holding hands and hugging on her in front of me. So now, many, many years later, he's doing the same thing, and women do the same thing. See, you're going to notice over time that they deal with their supplies the same. So it's just in this case, there's several of us. There's a minimum of, let me see, me, the other lady, there's a minimum of at least 3 supplies that we know for sure. And remember, there's always going to be somebody in that audience, in the middle or back or behind the front row, that this narcissist done messed around with. They've had some kind of affair with them. Those kind of people will be at the funeral too. But they don't let the narcissist hold them back. They're no longer in the affair, and they're coming to the funeral on the behalf and to show their respect for the person that passed away. So that's something that I did. I spoke, I did that, and later I was complimented on what I said. Also, when I mentioned the Lord, there was this lady in the middle. See, because when you're on a podium and you're looking over the crowd, as you speak, you may see movement. So when you're looking over the crowd, your eyes are going to go down. Your eyes move as you speak. That's natural. So when there's somebody moving, so I saw a beautiful woman nod her head. And as I spoke about the Lord, she nodded her head in agreement. And that's all I really noticed in that audience, because of the routine that I followed. I mean, I followed the routine when I was in acting and dance as a child, and they taught us, when you're acting and performing and speaking and things like that, look over the crowd. Don't look down. Looking down shows you're not so confident. Looking down can show you're not so happy. I did tear up, naturally. This is a sad event, but I also tried to hold the tears. And the reason I did that is because so that I could speak clearly. Another thing I did was I spoke slow. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I didn't want to say too much. I didn't want what I was saying to feel not so important to people. I wanted the genuine message to get out there that this person was a good person, even as a little child. Okay. So basically, that's the tip I'm going to share. Don't look at the narcissist. I don't know. They could have smiled and had a fake peaceful smile as I was speaking, because narcissists will do that. And one of the things, like, okay, these particular narcissists, the narcissist and his new supply, this man borderline was threatening me even before I got to Texas. He's a very belligerent, fake, evil, wicked, low class. And when I say low class, it ain't got nothing to do with his money. He's very financially stable. But stop thinking that just because somebody got some money, they not low class. The number one thing that makes you low class is your ignorant, belligerent behavior. You're in your God knows how old. You at a minimum middle age to old to elderly, and you still acting a freaking fool. You still threatening people that don't threaten you. You still can't conduct yourself, even if you're grieving. You still pumping alcohol and drugs in your body on a daily basis. You still didn't even really treat the person completely right that's in the casket, and he or she was in the same state as you. Things like that. So just remember, narcissists, whether they male or female, it don't matter if they the CEO of a company. I don't care if they drop 300,000 in their bank account that month. They still low class. Quit basing low class and high class on what this world has taught us, where it's based on what they got. Some people can consider you low class because you don't pray. You don't thank the Lord for none of your day, none of your life. That can be considered low class to some people. Or at a minimum, you off track. So work on your prayers. But yeah, that's one of the things I did. And like I said, this gentleman was borderline threatening me. And I talked about it in another video. His new supply was threatening me. I only talk calm and nice to these people. Okay? I didn't give them the pleasure. Because see, the reason I didn't snap on them is this. They was trying to prove that the relative that passed away was insane and psychologically ill and crazy. So by me being an immediate relative, they're trying to still prove that point, and he or she is in a casket now, right? So me acting calm and not acting like these belligerent country nutcases, I'm showing that I pray. I'm showing growth. I'm showing respect for the Lord. I'm showing that you people have no control of me. And so subconsciously, they're trying to prove that the person that's deceased had to be crazy. And they really couldn't fully prove that. They could prove, okay, this person was off track. This person has addictions. But in the narcissist's heart and the psychopath and sociopath heart and soul, they know they the crazy one. Also, a lot of times they don't know because that's part of the condition is for them to live in the delusion. So yeah, if you are going to go to a funeral, I'm going to add this piece on there. And this was another mistake I made, was expecting that I would be allowed to have a relationship with the minors. I was not allowed that. I live out of state. So that's a different, separate situation. Of course, the person that is deceased in the casket would have allowed me to be part of their life, but she was distracted and off track, or he was distracted or off track. So that was not able to happen in my case. However, the narcissist and this new supply are in control of the other relatives of the deceased. And so that's why that's happening. They're wicked people. You know, you got to remember, y'all, that's why a lot of these kids grow up drug addicted and they have all these behavior and psychological issues because they don't have enough support growing up. And a lot of times the support was present. They had relatives they could go out of town and visit. They had relatives that could talk to them on the phone and say, promise me you're not going to do drugs and alcohol. But the narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths stop those relatives from talking to those empathetic people. So yeah, if you go to that funeral and you speak, just don't look at those narcissists that's right down there in that front row. Don't look at the audience. That one sister nodded her head when I talked about the Lord, and that stood out to me because she was a healthy sized lady. So even with my vision issues, she wasn't big and fat. I'm not saying that, y'all, but she had a thick body build on her. So she stood out in the middle. It may have been that nobody was directly sitting right beside her, so she stood out. And maybe that's who the Lord wanted me to zone in on. See, the Lord controlling who you look at too. By having those angels tell you, don't look that way, don't look that way, focus this way. And I saw that one sister. I don't know who she was, but she nodded that head yes when I spoke about the Lord, and she showed a sense of validation and liking to what I said. It seemed genuine, and that's all I noticed because I looked over that crowd. And you do the same, protect yourself. And then another reason you want to do it this way too when you speak and not look down at those wicked souls is because you don't want that in your mind. So remember, I definitely know for sure that this narcissist is fake as hell because he basically borderline threatened my life all over me just saying I'm going to stay a couple extra days. He came at me like, call me for anything. It's not no problem. All this up and down mood behaviors that these narcissists have. And that ain't bipolar. He ain't bipolar. He's a narcissist and psychopath. That's why he can't get his moods on right. Stop thinking everybody that's showing different moods is bipolar. I've been around bipolar people all throughout my life, and ain't none of them acted like that. I know bipolar men and women, diagnosed bipolar men and women that ain't never threatened me. Actually, most of them were empaths, to be honest. And they were empathic people that developed bipolar, in my opinion, because of the ongoing long-term abuse that was subjected upon them by narcissists. And most of them wasn't bipolar at first. They developed that stuff, I'm telling you. A lot of them developed it due to addictions and things like that. I never had no problem with somebody bipolar telling me if I come in town, I better get out of town as soon as possible because something gonna happen to me and all that crazy stuff. Then having a new supply, talking about they gonna bash my head in, beat me down, all of this crazy stuff. Ain't none of this happened. Because at the end of the day, they cowards. They need weapons to fight you anyway. Yeah, he or she might win with a pistol. But you think I'm getting ready to stand there and let this narcissist and his new raggedy looking supply, raggedy minded supply beat me down? It's a reason my head ain't bashed in yet by no narcissist and they new supply, the psychopaths or whatever. Because just because you're empathic and you love and stuff like that don't mean you can't fight, right? I don't care if I'm 60 years old, 70 years old, whatever. I was raised to defend myself. It's in my nature. So, of course, I'm still on this video. But this is what these narcissists do. And this is how I dealt with it. Another tip is if you're at an event and it's not a funeral, use this same advice. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a funeral, but this will greatly, greatly help you if you are attending a funeral. As of right now, I am in no contact. I have been attorney advised not to have any more contact as of right now, so that I'm not accruing harassment charges and things like that against me. And I'm at a great amount of peace. There's other things with this situation that will work out over time due to my diligence and, just making sure I'm covering all my grounds, working with my attorney. And I'm in a very blessed situation. Okay. So it's a sad thing for the kids because the children are the biggest losers in these type of situations. I'm an adult. I had access to my grandmother, my mama, my aunties, cousins, uncles, aunts. I had access to people that I needed to have access to groom me and build me into the woman that I am today. But unfortunately, these kids will miss out on a lot. And me not being in their life, I have enough confidence to know, especially who I am right now, the woman I am right now, the woman I've grown to be, me not being in their life will hurt their life because I would be an asset to their life. But see, narcissists, they all about this money, right? See, if I'm not no billionaire, no millionaire, they might not consider me an asset. But see, we as empathic people, we understand that a asset is much, much more than just how much money you could give somebody or how much money the kids or other people see that you make. And so that's basically how that works out, and in time, all things will work out. I'm also going to start a playlist on narcissists and friends, and I may name it like narcissist number 1, narcissist number 2. And so I'm going to create a playlist. So I'm going to pick a person. I'm going to start by picking a non-blood relative, and I'm going to go over the moment that we met, how I was a supply source, how I didn't become a supply source at some point, how I'm in complete no contact, the racial diversity that was involved with this narcissist number 1. And so I'm going to create that playlist at some point. I think I'm going to start on that this week. However, playlists help me keep organized and help me continue to stay organized. However, this will go in my narcissists and funerals playlist. And then I'll do that other playlist. And then I'll do another series of like the narcissist number 2. And I might do one about, another person that I dealt with that was not a full-blown narcissist. I apologize, not a full-blown narcissist, but they were highly narcissistic, to tell how the dynamics of that relationship worked out and what the result was. And yeah, I got a lot more coming for y'all. You're at the right place here with Advanced Insight. So I am going to constantly be adding to, changing my channel. And you see the little small improvements that I'm making, right? But my focus is getting the correct information to you so that you can have a better, more prepared situation than what I had. And I'm just excited to be on my channel. I'm excited to be able to go through these situations and have a healing place for myself and be able to help y'all. I love my regular commenters so much, whether they be male or female. I love you. So I look forward to the comment. And if you have any video suggestions, you can put those in the comments too. I have been on this exercise bike, y'all, for almost 28 minutes. So I know it's Ramadan for some of y'all. So if anybody is involved with fasting and trying to do Ramadan, have a happy Ramadan to you. And I love y'all so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned in here with the Advanced Insight, because I have so much more. I could be doing videos for y'all for the next 800 years or longer, y'all. Because that's just how much experience every day. I'm having a new experience. And I'm at a very good place not having the toxicity in my life. Having that basic, genuine care for yourself is what you need to do it, y'all. And you can do it. Tune in for more videos for the narcissists and funerals and much more. Again, I love y'all. Take care. Thank you.